Hey, it's Kevin Toval with GigaHome. Today I've got a T-Mobile myTouch 4G slide review unit that just arrived. This phone is due out later this month on T-Mobile's US network. And we'll do a quick unboxing and then take a closer look and see what this phone's all about. So, inside the box, I've actually taken it out and done a quick setup and spent a few minutes playing with it. We've got the 4G slide right there. And it's running Google Android 2.3.4, which is actually the latest version available. There aren't many phones shipping with 2.3.4 as of right now, so this will be among the first. There is a front-facing video camera on this. We'll talk about it in a minute, but I bring it up now because this version of Android does support Google Talk video chatting. Unfortunately, so far, in the few minutes I've spent with the phone, it doesn't look like it's enabled on this particular device. There is Quick for video chatting, but not Google Talk support, or I just haven't played with this enough just yet. So, we'll put this aside for a second and look and see what else is in the box. We've got the paperwork that I never read. We've got a power brick for charging, connects to a USB cable, which is also included, and that's really about it. So, I'll put those back in the box. Maybe I'll read that paperwork later. No, I won't. And let's take a closer look at this device. This also should just really go through some quick specs right now. It's 800 by 480 resolution touchscreen, as I had said. This has a dual-core 1.2 gigahertz Qualcomm processor. We've seen this on some other phones already. It does have the slide-out QWERTY keyboard. It's 4 rows. Weight-wise, it's about 6.5 ounces, which, you know, and that's partially because it's a little thicker than, say, here's a Nexus 1. It's a little heavier because it has a slide-out keyboard, so that's totally understandable. The big claim to fame, and this is what T-Mobile is going to push with this device, is the 8 megapixel camera on the back, and there's actually some software, some extra scene modes that will allow you to take different types of pictures. We'll talk about those in a second. But with this camera, it also has a wide aperture. It's an f-stop of 2.2 for those of you who are interested in that kind of thing. What it basically means is this camera can let in more light than most other cameras that are on smartphones. There is a dedicated shutter key as well. So what that means is with more light being sucked in by the camera, you can take better shots in low light. So that's one of many reasons that they have done this, but so that's just one example. But we'll take a closer look at that right now. So let's start with a hardware tour real quick. Here at the top we've got our speaker, the front-facing camera, which I had mentioned. And on the bottom we've got, they're not capacitive buttons, these are actual buttons. They're very, not very tall, they're small, don't have to press very hard or anything, they're pretty soft buttons. And I've noticed that with the keyboard as well. Here we have a little directional pad which doubles as a button as well. And let me slide that open so you can actually see the keyboard since I've mentioned it. 4 rows, as you can see, it does light up when it needs to, so it is backlit. So far, it's probably the softest hardware keyboard I've ever played with. It's very similar to some prior HTC keyboards that I've used in the past a couple years ago, but boy oh boy, it's just like really, really soft. You barely tap these keys. It's got a nice feel to it, although some people may not like that. Let's see what we've got. I'll slide that in. This looks to be just like a little way to loop this. Maybe there's a little case, I don't know. I don't really see anything else that does. There's a little microphone port right there on the bottom. On the right hand side, as we look at this, let me go back to the home, there is the shutter button for the camera, nothing else on the right side. Up top we've got a 3.5mm headphone jack, we've got the power awake button up here, and on the left hand side, pretty typical, we've got the toggle switch for volume up, volume down, and then the micro USB port. Here, let me flip this around on the back side, we've got the 8 megapixel camera, autofocus, dual LED flash, and we've got a speaker here. Let's just take the back cover off. Sometimes these are hard to take off, but this one is not. It's actually quite easy. That gives you another look at that camera sensor and the dual LED flash. The battery is 1520 milliamps. Here we've got an 8 gigabyte micro SD card already inserted that comes with the phone. You can take that out while the phone is actually operational. It's not hidden by the battery, which is great. And of course your SIM card slot as well. So that's a hardware tour. Again, it is a little bit heavy at 6.5 ounces, but I think that's fairly common for something with a slide-out keyboard. It's got the same exact screen size as my Nexus 1. You can see, however, there's a little bit of a thickness difference there. But other than that, I mean, they really are, they feel very similar to me in the hand, just a little thicker, so a little more meaty is the myTouch 4G slide. So, alright, let's get some... Actually, before I even go any further, if you notice this little locking ring to unlock the phone, that's because this has a customized version of HTC Sense 3.0, and that is becoming common on a lot of the dual-core HTC devices. So we've got it unlocked, and yeah, you get your home screens with the carousels. So very much, if you've seen HTC Sense 3.0, this will look familiar to you. So let's see a couple things that we can point out here. The notifications customized with 3.0. You've got notifications here on one side, and then you've got quick settings tab here on the other. And that's an easy way to get at your Wi-Fi, your hotspot, mobile network, etc., all your other settings. Total memory in use here, that's telling me this phone does not have, say, a full gig of RAM. It has less than that. And I've seen on other devices, once you have a full gig of RAM, even with these dual-core processors, it's a nice speed bump. I'm not suggesting that this phone is going to be slow by any means, but it may be slower than a phone that has less RAM than that. So let me get out of there. In terms of apps and programs, I did like the fact these are all preloaded, although when I signed in, I believe that Google may have forwarded on some of the apps that I've installed. Yes, it has, from what I can see. What I did like to see is Netflix is here. I did not install this. This comes pre-installed with Netflix, so clearly this is one of the phones that is now Netflix supported. That's good. Some of these other ones are all apps that I have put on. There's the quick video chat, as I had mentioned. There it is right there. Google Talk, again, I tried it with a camera. That did not work. So let's see. The Genius button is still here, which is always nice. Let me tap and hold that. That's an easy way to call, send, text, and so on. There's a tutorial. We will skip that. But that is nice. That works with voice commands and so on, so that's good. Let's go to the camera app. Some of those new modes that I was telling you about. Let's see if we can go. I've got Clear Shot. Let's get that way. Clear Shot HDR. This is great for when you're in bright settings. As it says, your photos don't result in high light contrast, meaning parts of the picture that aren't lit up because they're kind of blown out of the water by a brighter part, that will be fixed in an HDR picture. And if I can, actually, I think I took one. Let's see if it's still here. I did. This is outside just my front door, and I know it's not a very exciting picture, but as I look through the viewfinder, the sunlight here on the blue sky and the tree and so on really was bright and overwhelming the brick of my house. You couldn't even tell they were bricks. It was so dark as a result of that. But this HDR mode takes 3 pictures at once. They vary in terms of how much brightness it takes, and it puts those 3 pictures together, and it comes out with an HDR type photo. It's pretty nice. So that came out okay. Again, not very exciting, but let's see if we can go back to the camera and talk about some of those other modes real quick. We've got Sweep Shot. Capture landscapes by holding the camera steady, rotating, and capture panoramic scenes. So literally, you would take a panoramic view, start the sweep shot, and then just kind of go like this, maybe when you're looking at a nice vista, a landscape, and it would capture it in lengthwise like that. That's kind of nice. Let's see, we have burst shot. That was the other one. Multiple photos in a quick burst, so you don't miss the perfect photo. Here, let's just do that. And I have not used this mode yet. I'm going to take an exciting picture of my desk and see what it does. Well, there you go. 5 bursts. It will process them. And then I should have 5 that I can choose from. So that way you kind of don't miss a picture. Probably great for action scenes. Let me go back. Didn't mean to go back, but let me go back and see if I can show that HDR mode as well. Change that setting to, that's night mode. Where's my HDR? There it is. Clear Shot HDR. And again, we'll just take a not very exciting picture of the desk. You'll only hear the shutter one time, but light areas and dark areas should kind of have the same brightness and contrast. Let me go see it. Yeah, again, not very exciting, but that the darker areas in the background are actually almost as bright as what's in the foreground, which is nice. So that's your HDR setting. In any case, there's plenty to look at here, and the phone just arrived, so I will be taking a look at this over the next couple days, come back with a full review, but that is the, so far, pretty nice looking camera of the myTouch 4G Slide and some of the software, so we'll be back with a full review. Thanks!